But let's stay with the world of business and ask one of the key questions. Just exactly how much does a pint down your local cost you? Those living in London, myself included, could soon be paying as much as £7 for the privilege. Industry experts say a mixture of rising inflation, supply chain issues and high labour costs means that pint prices may be set to soar. Joining us now, Clive Watson, chairman of the City Pub Company, which runs around 50 pubs in the south of England. Clive, great to see you this morning. Say it isn't so. Are we about to enter the era of the £7 pint, in London at least?
I think that's probably a little right at the top end, but certainly £6 plus is going to be the norm in those London pubs.
To what do you attribute that? I mean, as mentioned in the introduction there, people are complaining about rising costs, inflation and so on, energy prices. But it also strikes me that January is a pretty quiet month in the best of times, and these are not the best of times.
Well, that's right. But the increases are going to come through in the way that you've already suggested. Energy costs, big increases there. Labour costs, minimum living wage, nothing wrong with that, but that's going up as well. You've got cost of food going up, cost of your beer products, wines going up. So it's an inflation cocktail heading our direction. And of course, VAT is going back up to 20% on food as well come April, and employers' national insurance. So there's lots and lots of big costs heading our direction. And that's going to inevitably mean the price of a pint going up.
I mean, a simple question then, Clive. Do you think that those who regularly go to a pub are willing to pay that much? I mean, the last time we saw a mass exodus of customers from the pub trade was when the smoking ban came in. Are we approaching a point at which, you know, the unit cost of a pint for the consumer may well prompt them to stay at home with their cans instead?
I think that's a good question. And I think whilst an economist would put up the price of beer by, say, 40, 50p a pint, I think you're absolutely right. There's only so much that the customer will stomach. So I think actually pub companies are going to have modest increases and have to take the rest of the costs that they face on the chin. So the consumer will pay a bit more, but the pub companies will have to dip into their reserves.
Just in terms, though, of the assistance that's currently on display from the government, I mean, is there more that they could be doing right now to help out hospitality in general?
Well, look, I mean, the VAT increase in April, they should certainly suspend that. And I think one that is across all employment sectors is the employers' national insurance and the employees' national insurance hike in April. I mean, that's just bonkers, basically. That's a tax on jobs and that's a tax on the low pay. And that just, to me, doesn't make sense. So I think certainly suspend the VAT increase, which is due in April, and scrap the national insurance increases in April.
What do you think? What are your hopes or fears, perhaps, for the hospitality industry, and particularly your part of it, moving forward? I mean, you have 50 pubs. I think I've drunk in a few of them anyway. But do you believe that you'll have that same amount of pubs this time next year?
Yeah, I do, because our balance sheet is strong. But for a lot of independents who don't have access to other shareholders to support them, it's going to be tough. I mean, they've had limited sales over the last 2 years. Hopefully we're coming out of this pandemic. Great, sales are recovering. But then you've got all these cost increases, and they need to make money to pay back the debts that they incurred over the last 2 years. So it's going to mean a contraction in the sector. And that's not good for the government, because they'll raise less revenue from the hospitality industry. We are probably one of the most taxed industries there. So if you actually nurture the industry, in the long run, you'll get more money for the exchequer.
Clive Watson, chairman of the City Pub Company, thank you so much for joining us. Appreciate your time.